I can take what would be equivalent to a 10 or 12 foot stroke saw to the job and get that quality of work and production out of a portable saw at a fraction of the cost.
The TSV 60, a couple of months ago, we launched a TS 60, which is a slightly larger 5 millimeter depth cut, more than the TS 55. A couple of changes. Main one is a brushless motor. This one does not use a TS60. Does not use a riving knife. It uses a sensor, so it's an automatic anti-kickback.
Okay.
So if it senses a kickback, it'll automatically shut the machine off. For the TSV60, the most important feature we added was a scoring blade. So we see here
a small blade there that does a pre-cut for the main cut. Okay.
Correct. It's a one tooth blade that'll just do that, precisely that, the pre-cut. Any material that has melamine or any other covering that is prone to tear outs, this is an example of a regular circular saw cutting. A circular saw without any guard, and then our TSV 60. You see the pre-cut?
Okay.
We'll just cut, since the blade's running opposite, you don't want that tear out, so we'll pre-score it to avoid that tear out.
And so a scoring blade, like on a table saw, there from underneath, and that's because the blade is cutting down, so it scores. In this case, we're cutting up, so the score, and that looks like maybe a millimeter deep.
So it will depend. Obviously, not every cover or any melamine is the same, different thicknesses. It is completely adjustable.
Okay, so you can adjust the depth of that.
So no tools necessary. It's very easy. For the depth, there's a plus and a minus. Minus raises that scoring blade, plus deepens.
My understanding of Festool, when I've looked in the history, is the couple of guys that started it, what they were doing different than anybody else at the time. They blazed the trail for taking the tool to the job, to the work. This is like taking a $12,000 sliding table saw.
Correct. Yes.
Because this is a portable sliding table saw, because the track is on top of the material and the blade is moving across the material. We're not pushing material past the blade like a table saw. We're doing exactly what a slider does, where the blade is stationary, the material is stationary,
Correct.
but the table is moving. In this case, we've inverted that. Now you've added that other element that a big stroke saw or sliding saw has, and that is the scoring blade.
Correct.
So now I can take, with a longer track, I can take what would be equivalent to a 10 or 12 foot stroke saw to the job and get that quality of work and production out of a portable saw at a fraction of the cost. Plus, you can't take a stroke saw to the job because they're huge and they very precise in the setup. Once you set them up, you don't move them around.
Yeah. So that's the principle. Excellent. You're exactly right. That is the principle. We have the flexibility to go to the job site, and like you mentioned, we have 10-foot rail, so we have all sorts of sizes. We could vary on sizes. We could go to the job sites. We could set it up on our shop or a job site. It
certainly could work in the shop and have a lot of uses, even if you had a stroke saw.
This one will have more of that green setup inside, which again, it's where we adjust our left, right for the blade. We have our up and down, the depth of the scoring blade.
Okay.
And this, we didn't talk about, this on and off switch.
Okay.
So you can actually turn off that scoring blade.
Okay.
Let's say we don't need that that scoring. We turn it off. It just won't plunge. Okay. So you have your regular TSC 60 saw without without activating your plunge cut.
It's not lightweight, but I don't think you would want it to be.
Exactly.
But it's so well balanced. Put that on my list, my Christmas list. Smart Woodshop fam, those of you that have this kind of work where you're doing a lot of cabinetry or building closets or a lot of melamine, you're going to know this is going to be really helpful. Jim, thanks for taking the time
My
to
pleasure.
show us this today.
Anytime.
Mahalo for hanging out with the Smart Woodshop.